What's going on, everybody? This is Steve from Bloom Audio. So lately at the office, we've been kind of neck deep in streamers. So we wanted to talk about some of the options that are out there, different features and types of connectivity you're going to find on different ones, and how that's going to work best for you and your setup. On the docket today, we've got the EverSolo DMP-A6, the HIFIMAN Serenade, the iFi NeoStream, the Rotel S14, and the Matrix Element X2. And I think this collection really will hit some different use cases and designs, whether they're going to fit better in a 2-channel system, in a headphone system, or going to be really flexible in exactly where they go. So let's take a closer look. So before we break down the individual capabilities of each of these devices, we're going to talk about what a streamer is and what features you might need to look for your setup. The most basic level, a streamer is a device you're going to have on your local network that's going to aid in the wireless streaming of music. So really basic example is you have a streamer like the S14 from Rotel plugged into your integrated amp. That's plugged into your speakers. Your music collection, whether it's on Spotify or Qobuz or physical files, is on your phone in your hand. And you want to just be able to say, play Black Dog by Led Zeppelin. You hit the button, it plays on your system. This is going to be different from Bluetooth streaming. The streamer is connecting directly over the wireless network or a wired Ethernet connection to retrieve that song in the full lossless resolution. And that's a big difference there between getting a full lossless file like that and a Bluetooth device, which might do something similar, but ultimately isn't going to be at the same level of playback quality. Along with that, there are a few other features that might be key for you. A lot of streamers include a DAC as well as the streaming capability. In other cases, you might just have a pure streamer that needs to connect to an external DAC. And in other cases, still, you may have everything right in one place where you need it. So the question basically becomes, how are you going to get the music into the streamer and how are you going to get it out? With that first question of how we're going to get music into the device, as we've already mentioned, it could be through a streaming service like Tidal or Qobuz, in which case you'll want to make sure that whichever streamer you pick has the best quality way to connect to that over various internet protocols. So for example, Tidal has their own protocol called Tidal Connect that enables the best possible connection between your device, phone, tablet, DAP, whatever it is, and the streamer, if that has Tidal Connect. In other cases, you might be dealing with AirPlay or Chromecast as your preferred option if you're using an iPhone or Android device to access that. So you'll want to make sure if you're using YouTube Music on an Android device that your streamer supports some version of Chromecast so that you can actually connect that. And along with that, if you have a local collection of music, you may want to use something like UPnP or DLNA to connect that local collection of music over the network, or you may want to look into an option like the DMP-A6 that has the ability to add a hard drive directly into the device, or something like a few of the other ones which have a connection for an external hard drive. You can all have that all in one place rather than a server in one location and a streamer in another. And then there's that second question is, how's the music coming out of the streamer? With something like the HIFIMAN Serenade, it has a preamp output, also has a pretty robust headphone output. So if you're looking specifically to output to headphones, you don't want to have too many other pieces there, Serenade becomes a good option, or another streamer like it. The Matrix Element X2 also does that. If you want to output to speakers, something like the Rotel S14 becomes a good option. That has an integrated amp and streamer all in one. So that makes for a simple solution for outputting to speakers. Or you may want something like the DMP-A6 or the iFi NeoStream. It's a streamer and a DAC. You can either output digitally or through a preamp output to whatever kind of amplification or another DAC that you want to output to, and that just becomes a single component in a multi-component system then. And once you have all of that figured out, how does it connect to my preferred way of listening to music? How is that going to connect to my speakers or headphones or the rest of my system? Then we can get down to the nitty-gritty of finding the right streamer. So starting with the lowest price item on our list and working our way up, we've got the DMP-A6 at $899. Now this is the lowest price on our list, but also possibly the most feature-packed if you don't count headphone outputs and integrated amplifiers in that. Just in terms of connectivity and options you're going to have with this. Input options, you have USB, optical, digital coax, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet. And for outputs, you have USB, optical, digital coax, HDMI, RCA, and XLR. In terms of streaming protocols, it supports AirPlay, WebDAV, UPnP, DLNA, network-attached storage, and is Roon-ready, along with support for Tidal Connect, Hi-Res Audio, Spotify, and Qobuz Connect. In addition, you can connect an external hard drive via USB, and there's internal storage that can be expanded up to 4 terabytes. So you can learn a little bit more about DMP-A6 in a review we recently did. But the big highlight for me was the usability. There's a large touchscreen. It uses an Android-based OS. It's really simple. The app is fantastic. The entire setup process is great. There's some apps pre-installed on that. You can sideload more apps if you want. There's just great usability, fantastic overall user experience, and it sounds great too. So for DMP-A6, what you're getting for the money is great. The user experience is probably the best of anything on this list, even though we're going up to over $4,000. HIFIMAN Serenade is a more headphone-focused streamer. It does have some flexibility for other options as well. It has the standard USB, optical, digital coax, and Ethernet digital inputs, with also an RCA analog input to use as an amplifier. And for outputs, you have a headphone out, RCA, and XLR. For streaming, Hi-Fi has not provided the full list of options, but based on available information and our testing, it does support AirPlay and network-assisted storage. Serenade is probably better described as a DAC amp combo with network streaming capabilities than really a full streamer like the rest of the devices on this list. The list of protocols you're supporting is a bit shorter. There's no Wi-Fi support. And really, it's a fantastic DAC amp combo. It's got a ton of power. HIFIMAN has really been upping their DAC game with this R2R system. So it's really solid in that use for a desktop headphone streaming solution, or just ignore the network aspect altogether and use it as a DAC and amp, but doesn't quite stand up to the rest of the items we have here in terms of the pure streaming capabilities. HiFi NeoStream is similar in purpose to the DMP-A6. It's a streamer and a DAC, and it has some more advanced options that are definitely going to appeal to some of the more tech-savvy users. Doesn't quite have the same level of user-friendliness as the DMP-A6. Input options, you have optical, M12, which is a specialized Ethernet cable, Wi-Fi, and standard Ethernet. For outputs, you get USB, optical, digital coax, I2S HDMI, AES, and also RCA and a 4.4 millimeter line level output, not a headphone output, for your analog options. For network streaming, it supports AirPlay, UPnP, DLNA, network audio adapter, network attached storage, and is Roon ready. Also has support for Tidal Connect and Spotify Connect, and you can connect an external hard drive via USB. Big highlight for NeoStream is the support for some of that stuff like the I2S HDMI, the M12, and some other things that are going to be really appealing. People who have gotten really deep into the hobby, NeoStream gives all that to you at pretty low price considering. So they set it up with a lot of great tech and definitely a great DAC in there for the price. Just not as easy to use as the DMP-A6. And like the A6, it doesn't have headphone output or speaker output or anything else. So this is going to be a component you're using as part of a larger system. Any of the other items in here really could fit into a personal audio or two-channel audio system. The Rotel S14 is pretty firmly in the two-channel camp. I can imagine someone using this as a desktop unit with some bookshelf speakers or something like that, but it's a pretty big boy. And also the headphone output isn't the highlight here, it's really the speaker output, with the headphone kind of being more of an add-on there. For inputs, you get optical, digital coax, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet with an RCA preamp input. And for outputs, you have RCA, you have speaker outputs, and you have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. For streaming options, you get AirPlay, Chromecast, UPnP, DLNA, network attached storage, and S14 is Roon ready, along with having support for Tidal Connect, Spotify Connect, Qobuz, and some internet radio options there as well. You can check out the review we did on this one in the description. But yeah, this is a really solid unit specifically for that two-channel use case. I want to point out the support for both iOS and Android options through AirPlay and Chromecast isn't something that every device on here has, but that can be really important for a lot of Android users. The Matrix Element X2 combines some aspects in terms of the kind of sleek user-friendly interface with a really strong headphone output option and a fantastic DAC into just a really incredible all-around unit that's going to be great on your desktop with your headphones and also sounded great plugged into your amp for a two-channel system. Inputs, X2 gives you 2 digital coax, 2 optical, HDMI ARC, HDMI I2S, USB-C, USB-B, and Ethernet connections. For outputs, you get XLR and RCA on the back and 6.3 and 4.4 millimeter headphone outputs on the front. For streaming protocols, it supports AirPlay, WebDAV, UPnP, DLNA, network attached storage, and is Roon ready, along with Tidal Connect, Spotify and Qobuz Connect, and also high-res audio support. And it also allows connection of an external drive via USB. The two big standouts for me with the Element X2 were the setup and the DAC performance. While it doesn't have the nice big touchscreen as the DMP-A6, I thought the general user interface was probably in second place to the A6 there, and the quality of the DAC was a big jump above the rest of the competition. Just really incredible sound quality there, whether you're using it with headphones or you have it plugged into an integrated amp for your system. In terms of some general takeaways from the different comparisons, you might have guessed this, we really like the DMP-A6, especially where it hits at $899. Just the overall feature set, the sound quality, the performance, the user-friendly interface, it's all fantastic. If you're looking for the same sort of thing, you are maybe a little bit more concerned about the quality of the DAC. You're not going to hook this up to an external DAC or whatever else, or you need those extra more advanced input options. The iFi NeoStream is going to give you kind of a step up in capabilities if you're more of a power user who's into the more advanced options and can handle a slightly more complex setup. The HIFIMAN and Matrix Element X2 basically hit on opposite ends of the same thing. HIFIMAN always gives us great sound for the price. It's true in their headphones. It's true here as well. While there might be a couple quirks and it doesn't have the full universal support for a lot of protocols that people might want for their streaming, the headphone output sounds great. Works really well as a preamp as well. So again, generally solid device there. Not up to the same standard as a network streamer, but a great headphone DAC and amp with that network option as an add-on if that's what you're looking for. Element X2 is on the other end of that. It's just fantastic all around. Yes, it's 4 times the price, so it better be fantastic all around, but great DAC that sounds great in a 2-channel system, sounds great with your headphones, and the general setup and performance was really solid as well. And of course, the Rotel S14 comes in, and this is designed to, fit into a home audio, home theater system. Probably not sit on your desk. Again, the general features are solid. The screen is nice, not that huge, no touch support, but the device is generally pretty easy to use and set up. And that 150 watt speaker output combines with all that other stuff to make this a great way to basically start on a digital 2-channel system or possibly upgrade an existing analog system to add that digital streaming component. So while that streamer can open up a ton of possibilities, there are also some challenges there. So we've included links in the description to each of these products so you can get a better gauge on the exact capabilities without having to rewind 20 times which one of these supported Qobuz and whatever else it is, so you can check that out. Even if you don't end up going with one of the ones on our list, if you found this video helpful, we'd ask you like and subscribe, because we'll be back soon with more high fidelity audio content.